Since we've already done the 31st, what I'm going to do is skip over to the next day. So August 1st. And take a trade that day. And we'll remove this. So we'll do entire top-down analysis here again. Alright, let's move that to the side. Oh, actually, let's skip over to next day. And then we're going to skip over to 6 o'clock because that's when we come onto the charts. And then see what the market has to give us. News-wise, we have ISM Services PMI coming out for the US at 7 o'clock, so in about an hour. And then not much of any other high impact. And then we have NFP coming out the following day on Friday. So let's see if we can get there. Alright, starting off with the weekly time frame. Zoom out. Take a look at what is the structure. So obviously sitting in a quite bullish structure to the upside, breaking these previous weekly highs, and then ultimately targeting maybe that area right up top there, right? So looking at the current support, resistance, we're looking at a support down here. So candle body open, where the previous weekly candle also closed. This one started forming, pushing back up. So we're going to mark off 2385.7. And then we have the current top wick rejection right up top there. If price can break that, then we're headed up into the next wick rejection. So that's at 2458. Let's drop down to the daily and zoom out. So on the daily, we have all that consolidation. Price finally breaks above it and then pulls right back down after creating a new high. Taps into that previous consolidation. You see that nice volume to the upside after a quick break and retest. The current daily candle gives you a bit of a bottom wick and then pushes back up. Right now we're rejecting right into that previous wick rejection. So this is where I'm going to mark off another level and bring it up. So if price can continue breaking above that, then we know we have the buys to break our own high and then continue up into 2458. If price doesn't continue bullish from here, and we see that as we drop down to lower time frames, basically we want to see if there's any resistance, consolidation, any of that formation. If that happens and the price pulls back down, then we know that we're in seller's opportunity to the downside. All right, now you come on to the 4 hour. So on the 4 hour time frame, just zooming out, once again, all that consolidation taps into it. You get that nice momentum to the upside, some break and retest opportunities. And here it seems like you're starting to see that volatility or that consolidation formation. So I'm going to bring that down. That bottom wick rejection on that 4 hour candle sitting right on top of that previous high that price made before it pushed back down. Resistance and then also resistance. So that's a very key area here. Now what we're looking for is just scalp opportunities within this, and then if price breaks out of it, then that's a scalp that can be turned into a day trade or even swing trade opportunity. You come on to the hourly, we see that as price pushes back up, we've held onto a support, a new higher low formation, and that's kind of the area that we're rejecting in at the moment. So nothing new to mark off here just yet. Did we mark off a zone here? No, I don't think we marked off a zone here. Let me just bring back that bottom wick rejection level. There you go. Alright, there's that. Now coming on to 30. Previous one rejected, came back and closed right below it. And then on the 15, we have a bearish candle formation. So this is now New York session. And I have sped it up just a little bit. And then we have high impact news coming out in about an hour. So let's see if we get any setups here, if there's any opportunity to take a trade. If you guys want me to skip through candles at any point, let me know, and I'll also do it if it's taking too long and there's no movement.
Can we skip to the close?
Yeah. So that was a 5-minute closure. Then you got your 15. Alright, let's see if we can get a push. Ideally, I want to see a candle closure above this resistance. This one closed right at it. Or if this candle can break that high, then we'll take a quick scalp to the upside. So basically looking for this candle. And the only reason why we're dropping down to the 5-minute is, you know, you're testing volume here. It's high volume time. You're trying to see if these candles have enough volume to break the previous highs and lows. All your trade confirmations are from the higher time frames though. Alright, so as we're breaking that high, you got a 2% buy. You're looking for at least a 1-to-1 opportunity. Why is that invalid? Oh, I looked for a sell. My bad. Look for a buy. And then place your stop loss right around here. So right at that previous level, that price is breaking above. And then I'm going to try to go for a 1-to-1 at a minimum. So right above that area. And then if there's enough volume, that also gives us enough room. If there's more volume, to just push it back up and increase the TP if needed. So start off with the 1-to-1 and then increase your TP from there. Especially when you're getting close to these areas, but that's a perfect setup where you have a break and retest. And then you drop to the 5 and you're just testing volume. Make sense?
Yes.
Perfect. So here, the way that I would use the 5-minute is if it breaks above this area, and you know, if it breaks above and we're getting close to a 5-minute candle closure and it closes above that, then I'll increase my TP and I'll use the higher time frames to see what's the next area that we can target. Alright, let's skip to candle closure. Okay, you got your stop loss hit, and then we'll give it another opportunity if price can continue breaking out of it. But this one here, we're 15 minutes before news comes out, so price, you know, pushed a little, and then you're gonna wait for the actual news release, and we came and closed right back into that consolidation. So you don't have confirmation just yet for a buy or sell. This candle broke the high. That's the entry that we took. So now what we're waiting for is price to completely clear out of this and then continuation down. So what I want to see is if price can break below this, give me candle closures, and then look for a sell opportunity. So about 11 minutes before news comes out. And we're sitting ballpark area as the previous, so not a huge change. So the way that I would expect the market to have a heavy reaction is if the actual came out a lot different than the forecast. So if it comes out better, then that's a good thing for the US. We're expecting gold to drop. If it comes out weaker, then we're expecting gold to push. So next, now this is 5 minutes before news comes out. All right, 3 minutes. And 2 minutes. And then there's nothing else for the US session, so then everything else is going to be purely based off of technical setups. Alright, a couple of seconds. Alright, so we have the final manufacturing PMI coming out at 49.6, which is pretty much the same thing as the previous in the forecast. And then this came out actually a lot lower than the forecast and the previous. So 46.8, the forecast was 48.8, so that means weaker. The prices increased a bit, but kind of the same as the previous. Increase compared to the forecast, we're expecting a drop there. So here, gold is pushing, but again, we're kind of sitting at this level. So we're going to wait for candle closures above that for any continued buy opportunities. If we don't get that, if we don't get candle closures above this, price rejects it, pulls back down, then again, you can still entertain those sell opportunities because this is a higher time frame level. So I want to see candle closures above the zone at 24.58. So candle closures above that, or is price simply going to reject off of consolidation and then pull back down using higher time frame structure. So I'm just skipping here on the 5 minutes, so you're going to see that in increments. Alright, so that 15 pushed up, came back down, pushing back down bearish. There's 5 minutes left until this 15-minute candle closure, and we've already broken these previous lows. So if this candle closes bearish, then you're waiting for the next one to break the low, and you can take that sell opportunity to come back down. Make sense? You guys follow? Any questions?
No questions.
Perfect. And this is how the 5 minute is looking. So we had the news come out, we got a nice push, and then the following candle just brought us right back down, breaking previous lows, closing back down bearish into that zone. The current 5 minute also breaking the previous low, and we're kind of just hanging out in this consolidation still. Alright, you got a 15-minute candle closure right into that zone. This new one started forming. Let's see if we can break the lows. if that happens, then you look for a sell here, and then place your stop loss right on top of that resistance to give it enough room to make any wick rejections, any of that stuff. But we got that massive bearish candle closure here, so if we break that low, then it's clean price action, as you can see, to come back down. And if you're not comfortable with, if this candle breaks the low and you're not comfortable with a stop loss up top there, then another thing that you can do is wait for a break and retest setup, and you can look for your trade then. Alright, let's skip through. Alright, we broke the low. So this candle came back and closed right into the zone, so we didn't close above it, which still gives me the confidence that, we might have some bearish volume to just keep pushing. So right now it's still very high volume time, and you have about another 15 to 20 minutes or so of pretty good high volume where you can look for your impulse entries. After that, you're going to have the London session closing out. So London and New York overlap is going to close, and so you really shouldn't be trading in the middle of the session unless it's something like interest rates, Powell, things like that, which have the ability to move the markets. Alright, let's check the 5. So that one closed into the zone. The next 5 minute brought us right back down, and that's what gave us that 15-minute closure right there. And then the next one pushes. Alright, let's do next. So that one broke the low, came back and closed bearish. But now we're holding on to this area as resistance. So that's your confirmed resistance now. And if this candle can push back down, you got your sell opportunity. If price just print side by side here, then that's just going to end up being consolidation. So that's kind of your choice at that day. Do you want to take that trade, or do you just want to come back the following day? So today we don't have anything else coming out, for example, for the US. But tomorrow you have NFP coming out. So if you want, you just come back the following day and you just trade NFP. So if we see candles printing side by side here, where what I mean by that is you don't have actual candle body closures below these areas, then I personally would not be taking a trade that day. But it is pretty clear that we're holding on to this resistance here. So even on the 5 minute, when you're testing the volume, that candle came back down, closed bullish right there, and then this one bearish, breaking the previous low. So as long as we can clear the lows, still have an opportunity. But if I don't see something by, let's say, 8:20 or 8:30, then I'll just come back the next day. Alright, so final couple of seconds for this 15. So now I'm just going to come back the next day, because we have the bearish volume, but we're just ended up consolidating here. So what we're going to do is skip on the daily and then skip over to, what time does news come out? 5:30. So we'll skip to 5 o'clock. Alright, and then update our levels. So move that, this, and all this stuff here. Go up to the daily. You've got your resistance. I'm going to mark that off. We have our current bottom wick rejection on the daily. So if we break that, then we're looking for continued sales to come back down. But as of right now, that's the range. Come on to the 4 hour. So that's also the 4 hour low. If price breaks below that, then we're coming back down here. That's the next area of support. So we'll mark that off. Coming on to the hourly, you got that resistance, retest, and confirm that broken area as a resistance, breaking previous lows. You got some pretty good volume to the downside. And then in 30 minutes, you're going to have NFP coming out. So that should give us volume to push in either direction here. So if this low here is broken, then you have a big enough range to look for your scalp to push back down. If not, then we're just kind of waiting to see which way price is going to push. If it holds on to a support here and then pushes back up, then we're looking for buys above that area, so then we have cleaner price action. In either case, we're going to wait for actual candle closures. Alright, let's skip on the 15th, so we're closer to the actual news release. So price pushes back down, shows us some bearish volume, but we're still not breaking below this area here. Alright, come below it. We got close below, news came out. NFP came out a lot lower than the previous and the forecast. Unemployment rate has ticked up from 4.1% to 4.3%, and that's pretty much it for high impact news for today. So here what we want to see is obviously gold pushed up because that's negative news for the dollar. What we want to see here is some candle closures, and then we can look for potential entries. So you come to the 5 minute, you let at least the 5 minute candle close, and then you look for potential entries. So ideally, you would want this candle to close, somewhere above the zone. The next one gives you some sort of bottom wick, break and retest, anything like that. That shows you that there's going to be volume to the upside, and then you can look for your trade to the upside. But still, you want to be extra careful because you're breaking out of a daily level and pushing back up. And the level that we're tapping into right now is also a previous daily resistance. So if you ever want to check if your levels are pretty strong, if you need to be careful, you come up to the daily, weekly, monthly, 4 hour, and you check what's happening at these levels. So that is a daily level in the past, also a resistance for all this little consolidation before a sell-off. So once the price clears that, it's going to be tapping into a new all-time high. So that's where you need to be even extra careful. Oh, nice. So it pulls back, and you start to get some bearish candle closures here. Interesting. Let's see if we're potentially starting to see the volume dying out here now. We are tapping into all-time highs, so we should be seeing more volume kick in about 30 minutes when the New York Stock Exchange opens up. Alright, let's see what we end up doing here. Or if we're going to sit in another consolidation. But it seems like we're pushing right back down into this area. Okay, massive wick rejections. Not ready for a direction just yet. So all of that just seems like a consolidation. So I'm still going to hold to the fact that if I don't see candle closures above this, I'm not looking for a buy. If I don't see candle closures below this, at or below this zone, I'm not looking for sells. Anything between, it'll be a no trade day again, and then we just come back the following week. So let's just mark up our zone. Sells below this, or you're looking for buys above this. Anything in between, no trade zone. Nice. Alright, we're pushing. We have about 2 minutes until this 5-minute candle closes, so I want to see how this candle closes. If we can maintain below it, then I'll take that sell. So the only reason why I'm waiting for that candle closure is because, like I said, I was going to take a sell here, but my stop loss would have to be super wide. But if I get a candle closure here and price just makes a top wick and flips back down, then I can have a tighter stop loss and then look for price to come back, potentially tap into another support. Ideally, I would like to see a break and retest because that tells me that we would have enough volume to just continue pushing. Now let's look for a sell as price is flipping. So I'm not putting my stop loss there just yet, but I'm going to put my TP, or yeah, TP. Where's the next support? Continuing. So use different time frames, confirm where your support's going to be. So we're going to start off somewhere around here. Stop loss I'm going to keep somewhere around here. Or actually I'll give it enough room to make any wick projections, break and retest, anything like that. So I'm going to start off with the 1-to-1. And then if we see more volume, and if price continues to clear, which is the clear next support when you look to the left. If it clears that, then I'll increase my TP. Slow it down just so we can manage it too. If it breaks below that zone, then I'll increase my TP. Alright, so I'm going to increase my TP here. So price is breaking below that zone, so we know that there's going to be enough volume to keep breaking below that area. So the next is going to be this, which is going to be the next wick rejection, next support. If it clears that wick, once again, I'll increase that TP again. Alright, so clears that. Pretty clean volume. Let's do at the bottom of this wick so it sits right on top of these wick rejections. And if you want, at any given point, you can also take partials. So we have a 26-cent lot right now. It was a $5,000 account that we had started with. Got it up to 9,000, almost 10,000 right now. So that 2% on that account size is still 26 cents. So I hope that kind of puts into perspective what we should really be trading with, according to your account size, when you're between that 1 to 3% risk that we talk about. So once again, price clears that, then we increase that TP again. But that is straight volume from up top here. So at some given point, I would expect price to exhaust out, either consolidate or do a break and retest or something like that if it's going to keep pushing. If not, then we know that at one of these points, wherever you're seeing the previous supports and all that stuff, price is going to bounce off. We're getting pretty close to a very strong support, which is also another strong resistance. It's a very high chance that price might bounce off of that too. Just skipped on the 5, price is pushing, break its own low, and I'll increase that TP again. Okay, where's the next price? So we had it here, so what I'm going to do is bring it right around here, so that support and that resistance. And when this 15 has closed, so now what I'm going to do is move my stop loss to break even, because at that point, if price is going to retest, it shouldn't be coming any higher than this point. So now I'm going to move to break even. I'm going to close 50%. So now the trade is risk free and you still get out of this trade profitable regardless.
BJ, was it the 5-minute momentum why you hadn't taken partials prior?
I was waiting for the 15 close because sometimes price will just give you a wick and then push back up. So if I saw that, okay, the 5-minute was pushing back up, then I would have managed my trade at that point.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Alright, let's do next bar. And so instead of creating a new zone, what I'm going to do is if price clears this, then increase the TP again. So the easiest way, this is like one strategy that I'm showing you guys. This is not necessarily what I would do every single time in every situation. So the easiest way for someone who's kind of struggling with where do I place my TP or anything like that is start off with that one-to-one. So that's what we have been practicing in our simulation sessions. Start off with that one-to-one, and this way the strategy is also going to help you understand how to test the volume. So testing the volume means that you guys saw how I was saying that, okay, if price breaks that low and it keeps pushing, then I know that there's continued bearish volume. So we're testing the volume right now. So if it breaks below this, then we know that there's continued bearish volume. We can increase the TP again, right? All that stuff. So this strategy is going to help you understand how to test that volume. You're also managing your trade accordingly too. So if there's like any support, resistance that's being formed that's in the opposite direction, and you understand that, okay, this is a strong level that price just bounced off of, you can take partials there, you can move to break even. If you're not comfortable holding out the trade, you close out the trade, or holding out the trade, then you just close out the complete trade. But if you're someone who's comfortable with it and you're like, okay, I understand that, that's a lot of volume, and you pair it up with the fundamentals and the market sentiment, then you can just continue holding out your trade, but now it's risk-free, right? So you have already taken partials, so you're still getting out with some wins, and then you've moved to break even. So you know that you're not going to have any losses in this trade. All right, let's do next. Let's see if we're going to break the low here. Alright, let's see if this candle's going to flip. I'm going to skip on the 5 minute. So we're now, that's the exhaustion that you're seeing in price, where price just started to consolidate out a bit. We'll skip on the next bar, and then, or actually price is pushing, so move your TP. Price is pushing. This is going to be the final increment that I'm going to do on this trade, so if TP hits, it hits. But we're going to go right at that wick rejection here and sit right on that consolidation. Was that the previous level that we had? Maybe I'll just do it just below that. So this is going to be the final increment that I'm going to do on this trade. And then what you can also do is trail your stop loss. So at this point, because we have that massive volume and we've already made that top wick on the current 30, I'm going to trail my stop loss down here. I'm not going to take partials, any more partials on this trade. And we're about to have a 5 minute candle closure here again in just a couple of seconds. So you got a 5 minute candle closure below that area, which tells you that price still has some bearish volume, but at any of these given points, because We haven't had a single retest after that massive sell-off. We haven't had a single retest on the 30 or on the 15 yet, so very high chance that price might exhaust out soon. And it's a Friday, so you still want to get out winning, right? So I'm going to leave it at this level. We have trail stop loss and we're still getting out with a winning trade regardless. So you got TP hit. I just want to see how much further price continues. Oh, so price would have reacted into this next consolidation, it seems like. So we would have cleared that and then it would have reacted off of that. Alright, so that's it for today's simulation session. Do you guys have any questions about any of the entries, trades that we took, how we managed it, anything like that?
No, thank you.
Yeah, for sure. Alright, so I'll see you guys for another simulation.